All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Positivity Chef podcast. On today's episode, I got my boy Noah here. He's the owner of the Next Visionary brand. It's particularly a clothing brand, but he's going to expand on everything else that they're going into and the brand's messaging, and it's going to be a great conversation. So I'm really excited to welcome my boy Noah. What's going on, brother?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that. And so Next Visionary, the primary function right now, what it's being known for right now, is picking up steam for, is being a clothing brand. However, it's a lot deeper than that. So this brand started out in college, when I was a sophomore in college, as a way for me to create a foundation for my architecture work.
Nice.
And this was just due to a big self-developmental part of my life, where I was listening to a lot of Gary Vee, Simon Sinek, Jordan Peterson, and Alan Watts, and it just kind of kickstarted in my brain. I'm already making this content for school. Why can't I just start posting it?
Nice.
Just bring it to social platforms. And that's where it started out, and just bringing also my mindset of life, this pushing through adversity, is what Next Visionary is all about. And just building it from there, taking it day by day, has led me to this point right now.
That's amazing. So, of course, the brand has such deeper meaning, but you chose the initial route, like everybody should, right? You choose your initial route to go down, and then you expand, right? So, if you think of any, business, Apple started with the MacBook. Now they have everything from headphones to iPhones, right? So, it's a similar path. So, you said you were doing it for school. What were you studying?
So I went to Penn State in a 5-year program for architecture, and it was a great experience. And I think the point of architecture school is more so creating, taking a thought and making it a tangible idea, making it a physical product. And I was able to take a lot of the key concepts I learned from turning thoughts or ideas into buildings in school and translating that into maybe other areas in life. For example, the clothing. That started with graphic design work. And then people started to like that graphic design work, and I was able to put that on shirts. But it started with this idea of like, okay, well, what can I do to kind of bring people together? A lot of my architectural work also dealt with tranquility. A lot of it was based in Zen. A lot of it was bringing people together. And this is just that concept on a different type of media.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually really interesting now that I'm saying it and I'm thinking about that. But
it's crazy how it connects. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what made you want to study architecture?
So that was something I always had a passion for as a young kid. My father was a carpenter, and he actually had a small side business that he tried to pursue. It didn't. It's something that he's kind of on and off with, as life goes on and things get in the way. But I was a young kid seeing my dad hustle, kind of work his ass off, and he would bring me on these side jobs, and I would always want to be involved more. I always wanted to make something, to build something. Then going into high school, they offered, at Tauntville High School, they offered an architecture program starting sophomore year. So I did that from sophomore year to senior year. And then just sticking with that, I kind of did have a different idea of what it would be in college. You have like this, I'm trying to think of a word, but like kind of a false perception. Like you think that you're going to go into college and you're going to come out and make these great, crazy buildings. There's a lot of detail work. There's a lot of tedious stuff that you have to go through first. But that went from high school to college at Penn State, doing a 5-year program over a 4-year program, simply because I can now be licensed in any state that I go to.
That's the extra year that gets you that.
Right. Whereas if I did 4 years, I would only be able to be, I believe, licensed in New York and California. And I think there's one more state.
Okay. So limiting. Why not put in that extra year now? What would you have to go through? Let's say if you did the 4 years, would you have to like go back to school to get that additional like certificate or license?
That's a really good question. I don't know.
It doesn't even matter because you didn't choose that route anyway. I would have chose the same exact route as you. But one thing that like you said earlier that was really, I found so interesting. So when you were building these architectural structures or, studying them, you were doing it in a way that brought people together, and you brought up the word Zen. Right. So I wanted to ask you, what does the word Zen mean to you, and why did you want to incorporate that in your overall, projects?
Right. I think Zen, first and foremost, is a state of mind, a state of being, very closely related to, if not the same thing as a flow state, which is something that you learn to dial into, and that's when I do my best work. It's kind of canceling out the noise around me, and I'm just focused at the task at hand. And my thesis project in my 5th year was about transmuting the energy of Zen Gardens and the layout of Zen Gardens into a physical, tangible building or multiple buildings related to one whole. Like I would love to like kind of draw this out. Maybe I can send you some pictures and we can throw it on there.
100%.
Yeah, just this peacefulness, this tranquility, trying to bring a mindset into a physical thing. How can I get you into the Zen state with the building?
Exactly.
What triggers that?
Exactly. How could you bring the non-physical or spiritual energy, like that when you're talking about the vibrational or those frequencies, those positive frequencies? How could you transmute them into its physical equivalent, essentially?
Right. Yeah.
That's
exactly.
amazing. I love that because I study. It's Nikola Tesla's ideas of the world. If you want to understand the universe, you think in energies, frequencies, and vibrations, and so I studied that. I was always so interested, and it's tough because I love when you brought that up, and I wanted to harp on that because I can't have that conversation with many people. When you try to talk in terms of energies, frequencies, and vibrations, and really getting into the granular aspects of life and trying to understand it at that deep level, right? It's more of a sixth sense. People it goes over their head. They think that you're crazy. They think that you're just one of those people that just are just talking about nonsense. It's like whatever. But specific few really understand the complexities, but it's not really complex. It's a difficult topic to grasp because we weren't taught it growing up. We were taught five senses. We were taught, this is what everything is. Meanwhile, there's so much more to ourselves that we have no idea about. And then now when you try to preach it to the general public, it doesn't really resonate with them. Right. So I love to hear that you were saying that. And when you brought up Zen, like if you like this set, I tried to do a similar aspect. I didn't study it to a specific degree, but I did it all based off intuition. Yeah. Right. From everything from the color scheme to, as you can see, I have gemstones on the table, and I brought more to my house now. I moved out to Jersey about a month back, but I have a lot more of my gemstones there. I practice all the different types of meditations and not really Reiki work. I'm not that deep into it, but I'm very focused on energies and frequencies, and I love that you are your goal is to incorporate that into building whatever you're building. It could be a brand, or it could be an architectural structure, or it could literally just be whatever your mind decides to create today.
Exactly. And I think you are 100% correct. It's not what we're taught. It's out of a lot of people's, they don't even think about it, because those thoughts were never put into their heads. And I think that's a job that me and you have.
Exactly.
I think that's actually a really good point you bring up.
I love how you said that. It's a job that me and you have. Yeah. And we are taking that on, because in the schools, you're not going to learn that. No. And that actually you just honestly put something into my head that I didn't even put into perspective before this meeting, because I didn't really look at it as that's a job that me and you have. I just thought of it as an interest of mine, and I just wanted to talk about it, to educate people, but it wasn't like that was my main focus. And I think even after this conversation, that's going to be some of my main focus, just to learn more, but also simplify some of that complexity that's to that, because people are like, what do you mean energy? What do you mean frequent? Like they're people that want to know. It's a little complicated for them for it to resonate with them. So, like Albert Einstein said, right? You don't really know something until you could explain it to like a third grader. Right. And that would be amazing if we could actually preach it to the broader population, but especially the youth, right? Because as they're growing up and seeing and witnessing this world firsthand, if you give them that knowledge in the beginning, like if we got that knowledge in kindergarten, and when we learned 5 senses in first grade, if we learned 6, you know what I mean? We would have a complete different life right now.
I have so many new thoughts going on right now. I really do. I think, and I've been in this, like, a lot of paradigm shifts lately, just because of a lot that's going on. Seeing how the brand is bringing people together, and realizing that, like, I kept saying for the past week, like, I'm stepping into my purpose. Mm-hmm. I'm finally understanding it more. Like, I always believed in myself, but now I'm at this new level. Like, and I think, wow, I think that it's not taught in mainstream. I would love to know why it isn't, when it's so beneficial. Like, what is that barrier? Right. Why aren't we talking about these things? And you bring up a good point. Like, imagine we had that in school. How different would it be right now? And also, it's a good point to bring up, because we live in this world that's like go all the time, nonstop. Whether we're on our phones, we're out in public kind of walking, everyone has their head down on their phone, everyone's doing something, everyone's busy. So a mindset or a mind state or a physical product of Zen, or people who push that Zen topic, I think is needed more than ever. People need that escape. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And people think an escape is getting away from where they are right now to, a paradise island. They overcomplicate things. You don't need that. No. All you have to do is close your eyes and go within, and that's your escape. Yep. Escape within, right? Go and do a meditation. Seek your inner true self.
Right.
Be alone. People are afraid to be alone. Do you ever try to talk to somebody when I go out to eat and I'm by myself and I love it. And I'm like eating. I don't have anybody to talk to. I'm eating at my own pace. I don't have to worry about like, someone looking at me while I'm eating my food. It's just me by myself. And then there's other people that I know for a fact, if they went to a restaurant, sat by themselves and ate, they would feel so awkward.
Right.
It's just because they're not comfortable with themselves, because I don't think they know who they are, but they never even practiced being alone. And it's incredible. Like you say, I love how you say people, had to find that escape. And it's really like, you just have to find yourself. You have to practice. You have to allocate time to be mindful, right? And just learn about who you are and what you love and what it is that brings joy to your life. So many people nowadays they say, oh, I hate my 9 to 5, but I work because everybody works and I have to put food on the table. Like, yeah, of course. Like, you got to grind, right? You have to bring in that income to support yourself, support your family. But allocate some time to understand who you truly are, what your purpose is. Like you said, you're stepping into your purpose. You found it at a young age, 24. I believe I found mine around the same age as you, which is, do you know how lucky we are or blessed we are to be able to find? Because people are 50 years old right now, stuck in an accounting job, and trust me, they weren't born to be an accountant.
That they hate, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. When I first started getting on camera, I was looking at the camera and I was getting all like
tense, right?
Yeah, tense about it. And then when it's this conversation and we have these good conversations on and off of it, it makes it a lot more comfortable.
Exactly. And that's how when I tried to factor it in the beginning, I try to this is why I wish I had a third person that was more on the tech side. Yeah. So we could have this conversation. And then out of nowhere, it's like, all right, we're getting started. And then like the ice is already broken. Like me, I've been doing this for a while, but I still get a little tense. And then you speak a little fast. And then you just got to, get back to where it was. But what we were just saying, so you were talking about goals and structuring them and, decomposing a larger goal into something that's more attainable, right? So step by step, like the way I refer to it as a daily to-do list. Like, okay, in order for me to get where I want to get in a year, I just got to check these boxes today. That's all I have to do.
That's it.
I'm not going to fucking build a building in a day. Like Rome wasn't built in a day, not to be cliche, but literally.
Exactly.
Like you have to set the foundation. And in order to set the foundation, you have to do X, Y, Z today and tomorrow and next week. And in a month, maybe that foundation will be, built if there was no failures, right? Or if there was no, setbacks. But even with a setback, you just take it as it is. That's where I'm at. Let's go. Because I am going to get where I'm going. I'm not going to let something, deter me off my track.
Yeah. And taking those hardships, learning from them, so your next attempt, your next at-bat is better. Exactly. You now have more knowledge. You know how to come at this obstacle from a different point of view. And this goes into a quote that we were speaking of. I think something that's misconstrued in this day and age, especially with the image of social media, the false perception that's put out a lot. And people think that they have to be in higher positions than what they are. So it's neglecting the work that they have to do, and they just want to jump to the end. Mm-hmm. And the quote is, people want results they've never had for the work they've never done. And then I was writing, I was like, how do you want $1 million, right? Or how do you want to be successful, but you're not willing to be working on your brand till 3 a.m?
Exactly.
Or after your 9 to 5 job, which is needed when you're starting out, or after your 9 to 5 job and you're on the bus home, you have an hour.
What do you do on the hour?
You got to be working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got to work.
That's the reality.
I see you. You're editing. I'm doing the same thing on my Mac. We're editing our clips, our content, because I'm in the financial industry. Right. I'm not sure. Are you working in the architecture space?
So right now I'm a junior architect at Architectonica in New York City.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing from 9 to 5 or whatever, 8 to 5. Right. And then on that commute home, you have about an hour because you're in Staten Island. I moved up to Jersey, so I got like an hour and a half now. But we're putting in that work. Most people want the results, but they don't want to put in the work. Because you know why? Because there's all those videos out there saying, pursue what you love, and then it won't feel like work. Yeah, okay. You could we love to spread this message about mindfulness, about just a positive, thinking, positive self-talk, and just uplifting people. But guess what that's gonna involve? We're gonna have to build a platform. Building a platform taught us we have to know how to graphic design. We have to learn the Instagram algorithm. We have to be consistent. We have to say no to our friends when they want to go out and drink, which it will be mad fun. We know how fun that is, but we are determined. We have to sacrifice all of that. If you want to be successful in anything, it doesn't matter if it's what we're trying to do, or if someone trying to build a business, trying to sell supplements, or someone trying to literally build a gym business, or whatever it is, there is so much sacrifice that people are not willing to take because, they're in their mind, it's like, if I loved to do it and it was my purpose, it wouldn't feel like work. Like, yeah, to a certain degree, like this doesn't feel like work right now. I'm sitting here, I'm having an amazing conversation with you. We're vibing right now. But You know what I mean? After this, I could be going to my house, jumping in my pool, hanging out with my daughter, but I'm going to be locked in the office editing because I know that next week I got to travel and I'm not going to be busy. Right. So it's 80, 85 today, almost 90 degrees. I could be in my pool drinking a Corona, smoking a cigar. I'm going to be locked in the office editing this video. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it comes down to your choices. You get to choose that, you know, and your priorities. And this is actually something I've been thinking about too. I don't think there's nothing wrong with going out and enjoying yourself. You know, we're young. Mm-hmm. A lot of people like that. A lot of people don't think further than that. Okay, you do your thing. But my problem comes into play is if you choose to do that every weekend, you cannot be complacent about the position you're in.
Exactly.
That is your choice. So if you want something different, or if someone comes to complain to me about that, which, like, I'm somebody a lot of people come to for advice. That was just who I was as a person growing up. It's who I am right now. Mm-hmm. It's who I bring into this brand. I don't feel a need to fluff things or sugarcoat them. Like, yo, I went out a lot, you know, mm-hmm. I did all that, but it came down to a point where I was like, okay, like, I want to get to a different point in my life. How do I get there? What can I take out from the equation that's not adding to me? And people don't have that conversation. People stay in this stagnant stage of they keep doing the same loop over and over, and they're going out and they're complaining about why they're not in better positions. That's why.
Exactly.
Because you're choosing these bad things. You're choosing the things that take your time, your money, and your energy. You're not putting it into things that are going to build you and promote you and further you.
Exactly.
And that's it.
Whatever place, like if you look at somebody today, right, the position that they're in right now is a position that they chose to be in, subconsciously or consciously. Right. What we're doing, we're consciously, you know, creating the future by self-reflecting, understanding where we're at today. Right, and seeing and doing a self-audit. Right, what do I have to take out of my life? What time where should I allocate my time? Right, where should I allocate my resources, my focus? Right, in order to get where I'm going. Most people don't think past tomorrow or today even or this next coming weekend. Right, and how can you build a life of your dreams? Because everybody has dreams. Everybody has these things. But in order to make a dream into an actual objective, you have to build a plan. So everybody, they have a dream, I want to drive this car, or I want to live in this certain area, or I want to do this for work, whatever. But they could only see up to this weekend when they're going out to the shore and drinking. They're trying to make plans with their friends, and that's where their focus is going. You know what I mean? I will go out if the plans come to me, and, you know, you have to factor in balance, have to factor in fun. But my priority is surrounded about my career and my passion, and how do I bridge my passion into my career so it could take over. And that's where I want to get at. So if I'm content, that's all I think about every single day. That's where my focus goes. Where focus goes, you know what I mean? That's where success grows. Like, it's that simple. And everybody knows they need to do this, but I don't think they're willing to sacrifice or willing to commit to that journey because it's tough.
It is tough. And I think that goes into another point you said before. People don't know how to be alone. So, and once you decide to make those sacrifices, that's where you're going to be. Mm-hmm. You're going to be alone because the people in the general public, that's what they do. People are at the shore all the time. There's only a handful of people that aren't, or a good amount who are doing different things.
Exactly.
And then if you can even lower that and separate that again into a lower crowd that's actually working on the weekends like this right now.
Exactly.
How many people are going down to the shore right now? They're on the way there right now, and they're going to waste the entire day. How many people are actually making content? It's a whole different group.
It's a whole different group.
And that's the difference.
Yeah, and it's hard to find that group. I don't know why. Because they're locked away, grinding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we connected through, you know, a mutual friend, and now we see that we're on the same frequency. But realistically, like, we would have been two people that just passed each other in the gym, not realizing that we're on the same type of time, same frequency, same level of, you know, just same level of, you know, grind, you know, in the background. But because it's especially growing up in Staten Island, and it's probably the same in a lot of other, you know, areas, honestly everywhere, not just Staten Island, but we know it, so we could talk to it right now. 90% of the people I know would not put in this work. My boys, I love them to death, the people I grew up with, and they're grinding, they're trying to do everything they can to live their best life. But like, even like if I try to pick them up and bring them up and say, you know, we don't got to go out. Let's talk money. Let's talk building a business. Let's talk future. Let's talk all that. It doesn't resonate with them. It doesn't, you know, connect. So when I find somebody that's like on that same type of time, that like when I want to talk about money, when I want to talk about the future, when I want to talk about investments, I want to talk about building a business, building a vision, and building a plan to get there, and so we could facilitate, you know, from my perspective, what value can I provide to you? Because I lived my life, I have my set of experiences. There's definitely things I could teach you, and there's definitely things you could teach me, vice versa, from what you saw through your eyes, right? Because at the end of the day, we are all one. So what we're supposed to do is live life, learn our experiences, connect with others, and then help each other like a team get to where a common goal in a synergistic fashion. But some people just don't see it like that. And you gotta surround yourself by that 5% or that even that 1% of people that do see it like that.
I agree with you, and 100%. Like I have friends like that where I can't speak about my brand in a business sense or at a different type of. Like I can't have the regular BS conversation about the sports game. Oh. That's not me. You know what I'm saying? That never was me. It can't be me. I'd rather be talking about productive things. But I think I respect my friend in that sense, but I also have to respect myself in the sense, okay, I can only spend a certain amount of time with this person.
Yep.
And it's not to say they're a bad person. We just have two different interests. I'm going towards one direction, you're going towards another. And I forgot what quote, where this came from, but it's like you have to separate yourself to elevate, right? And then either that person that you left behind or you separate yourself from is going to elevate to that level or they're going to start to. And that's when you can reconnect. But that change is an inner change. And sometimes it's not sparked by another person because they're already embedded and rooted in their ways. They need to come to that realization on their own. And that's something that I'm coming to realization of, because that was my big thing too. It's like, why can't I talk to my friend about this? You
Same.
know? But it wasn't a thing about me. It was just them. And that's in their due time, in their right time, that'll change. And then also this year, 2022, my big paradigm shift that I wanted to enter into was I want to be around more people, more like-minded people, more like-minded individuals. I had done a clothing collaboration with the gym, which did extremely well. So before that, I was doing this brand for 4 years, doing clothing for 2. And it was fairly successful, like no crazy numbers, you know. But after doing that collaboration, after taking the effort to put my message out there, and actually being confident in it is when it started to take off. So that was back in January when that happened. And ever since then, it's been rolling. And then back in April, I released a collection coincidentally called Higher Calling. And that was all about stepping into your purpose, stepping into your higher calling and acting on that. And that's when I released Next Visionary, brought on Next Visionary ambassadors, people who embodied the same type of next visionary mindset that I bring to the table, that people I wanted to be around. And now we have a team of, there's 8 people in our group chat, maybe 9 people in our group chat, and we're on pace to expand to 16
That's
ambassadors.
Nice. There we go.
And it's not strictly like, it's not, I'm trying to explain it. It's more of because I don't want to say the term ambassador. Like they will be promoting the brand, but in turn, they're getting a network. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have access to conversations like this. They're gonna have access to the other like-minded individuals free of charge. You know, and you're gonna get a shirt or a shirt once a month or a shirt every 2 months. And that's what we do. I'm gonna help the network there build their businesses, scale their businesses, taking the knowledge that I've learned from college and my own personal endeavors. And I think building networks like that is something not seen, especially on Staten Island. There's a lot of negative stuff. I hate to even turn my attention to it, but that's the truth. And it's combated only by stuff like this. And that goes back to this being our task at hand.
Exactly. And I love how you just, broke that down. That's like the goal of the brand as well, because I'm doing something similar on my end. What I have built up is it's called the High Performance Advisory Program, where we're doing something exactly similar. It's just getting access to like-minded individuals that want to come together. They all have their individual focus, whether you're a digital marketer or whether you're, someone building, whatever brand that you're trying to build up. And that's where I'm coming from, giving them that advice, that consultation from my experience, whether it was in school, now being in the financial industry. I work, primarily I'm a consultant to financial asset managers, how they build their portfolios, how they allocate their investment decisions. But I see how our business works. I work at Bloomberg. So what they do is it's a multi-billion-dollar, organization, one of the largest private organizations in the financial space. And I see how they run their business. So when it comes down to somebody running maybe a small supplement shop, like for example, I do free consultation calls. If you if you go to my Instagram and click the link in the bio, you could book a call with me. So I had this 19-year-old yesterday. His name is James, and he's building up. I keep bringing up the supplement because it's on the top of my mind. Yeah. He's building up a supplement shop, and he was like, this is where we're at right now. It's starting to gain a little bit of steam, but he was like not knowing where to focus his marketing. And really quick, I was able to just understand his brand, say, okay, what is your product? He was like, these are the main highlights. It is it's a pre-workout that doesn't have caffeine in it, has basically 0 calories, and it has a portion of protein. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, so and he was initially trying to target bodybuilders. I'm like, you're not going to target bodybuilders with that. They don't care about the non-caffeine. They want that rush. You're maybe going to target somebody that's going to be a biker or a runner. That caffeine is going to spike their heart rate while they're going for those runs and actually reduce their endurance. Or you're going to target somebody like myself, right? That I'm so focused on my health and my body is, so I realized that caffeine, I was seeing something on TikTok the other day, that caffeine actually, it doesn't give you energy, it's false energy, right? So it blocks like your tired receptors or something. I'm not going to speak to it too in depth, but long story short, just covering up that you're tired so you feel energized, and it's actually not good. It suppresses your emotions and it does a lot of stuff to you. Wow. So, and I want to dive deeper into that research, but now since I saw that, I've been telling my wife, my coworkers, that I'm cutting back on my coffee intake. So now knowing there's a pre-workout on the market that has no caffeine, I want to buy it now, right? So you have to target people like me. So I basically broke that down for him, and I have a very consultative mindset. I'm able to see a business from a high level and give direction to it on how to succeed. So that's exactly what I'm building. So I would love to do a collab with you or something in the future. Just think about how we could, we have the same goal at hand at the end of the day, and how we could synergize and just accomplish our like goal, our similar goal, just in a combined fashion. I would love to do that. Right. But same thing, right? Because I and what influenced it from my perspective, we both grew up here. I see that there's so much negativity around. I hate, again, I don't want to put my attention to it, but it's facts, right? Think about it. Go walk in the street and just hear people's conversations. Hear how people speak to themselves. Hear how people speak to the day, to everything that's going on. It is so negative.
It really is.
Like even the common cliche things that people think are fun, like or think are just normal to say because they do it in small talk, it's just so negative. Oh, for my luck, or oh, it's Monday. Huh? Everybody knows it's Monday. The weekend went by a little too quickly. Like, no, like you woke up this morning. Like, do you know how many people had plans to do something today that didn't even get to wake up?
It's the truth.
You know what I mean? The little things. They're not even little. They're the biggest things, but we refer to them as little because everybody has it.
Right. And no one thinks about it in depth like that.
Nobody.
I'm coming to that. Well, just learning that. And the thing with me, like I commute to the city every day. I'm up at 7. I'm on the bus at 7:30, and I'm around that. I'm around that type of energy. And every now and then you run into a good person, and it also comes down to how you interact with them. So you have to be in a good state already. That's what's the quote? You think about whatever you think about, you become, and you also attract.
Exactly.
Right. So if you're like you're saying, if you're talking about like, oh my God, it's Monday, your day is already on pace to be bad. Yeah. Because that's your initial mindset. Now you're going to attract other people with a similar mindset, and I think that's also a good point to bring about. This is why this is happening right now, because we have that growth mindset, that abundant mindset that not a lot of people have. I don't have conversations like this. This is something I'm going to value for a very long time. This is a great conversation. Yeah.
Exactly. No, I completely agree, because it's so rare nowadays, like to have a conversation at this level of depth. You have to you need to study, you need to read, you need to be well read, and just to understand what we're talking about. But also, like, for example, like you were saying before, people don't think about it, at that granular level of, I was able to wake up, and they don't have that gratitude on the little things in life, or the biggest things in life, the things that matter, right? I was, what book was it? Whatever. There was in a book that I was reading recently, it says that people don't value what's given to them for free. Right. Right. So people aren't really going to see the value in the ability to walk or to talk or to do or to see, right? Because it was given to them for free. And that's why people also don't value their minds, right? Think about it. Our mind is the most powerful tool that anybody most powerful tool in this universe by far, period. You can't say anything, because without this, nothing that you see would have been here. This house, someone had to think about it, right? This microphone, somebody had to think about it. The iPhone, great tool, right? You could do so much on it. You could make so much money. You could connect with the whole world. Someone had to think about it. So it all starts here, but nobody puts value on their mind. Nope. I have a quick story. It was somebody that I didn't really grow up with him. He was just around in the friend group. I'm not going to name names, but this was like 2-3 years ago. And I was out, and, I was just being me in a group of people that aren't really like me, to be completely honest. And I was not that I was surrounding myself by the wrong people. It's like I was trying to go out, and that's when I was first realizing that, I can't be doing this. Right. There's no value here. Yep. And I was just talking about common things like this. And one of the people in the group said, "Yo, Oliver, you're making me think. I don't like to think. Thinking hurts." That was when everything changed. I was like, there's no way. There's no way you just said that. There's no way that you just said that, and there's no way that that's true, but that is your truth.
Right.
Like, they don't even like to think. What? It took me back, and I was like, I got to leave. I got to surround myself by more people around like me, and like, this is, no offense to the person that said that, but this is what's out there right now, and they need help. They need help. They need guidance. Like, you're not able to think. If you're not able to think, you can't really achieve anything. That's you said the building blocks.
Yeah. If you can't think for yourself, I think a lot of people have like rapid thoughts, especially in this like social media age of life where there's information everywhere, which is actually that's weird to think about. Why aren't people like having more conversations like this when there's so much abundant information? That's a deep question I'm going to think about. But I think people don't think for themselves. People rather be distracted because they don't want to go into that and kind of sort through the nonsense that exists. The nonsense that exists.
Exactly.
But I'm in deep thought right now. I'm thinking a lot. I want to know why that is true, why that is a thing.
Like, why they don't want to. There's so much information out there. But I think information overload is also an issue, too, because people just start diving into different things. Right. The person that's actually seeking the information, there's too much, they get overwhelmed. And then also, information is more available than it's ever been, but without the actual, without actually wanting to find that information and utilize that information, it's useless.
Right.
And also, knowledge, there's a lot of people out there that read everything. And they say knowledge is power, but it's not, because without that action, without applying that knowledge, it's useless. Again, I could be somebody that, studies finance and knows exactly the different strategy and be a CFA, right? But if I just sit in my room and I never even try to invest, or I never, go and apply for a job in that space, like, what good is my knowledge? You know what I mean? Like, so you have to apply it as well. And I think that application part of the knowledge is what's stopping a lot of people, because it goes back to, if you want to decompose all the way back to things like their beliefs and their emotions. At least the way I see things, right? Because the way I see it is people are negatively self-talking themselves, which brings up about emotions, right? So when they have negative thoughts, they create negative beliefs. Those negative beliefs are embedded in their system, in their operating system, their internal operating system. Right. So now that brings negative emotions like doubt, or, a worry, or fear. Yep. There you go. That's how true it is. Yep. And then now with those, what is going to block that action? Fear, doubt, worry, right? You're scared. Whenever someone's scared, they freeze up. Fear is what is going to break any dream or kill any dream. Right. But now if you take it all the way back to, and this is what we talk about in the High Performance Advisory Program, well, that's what I'm inspiring to teach, is when you break it down to the individual building blocks, we need to throw out your current belief system. I don't care what your experience is. Let's reconstruct it from the ground up, from the building blocks, from the foundation, right? That's it's a 4-part program. This is the foundational part. So we talk about what is a thought. We talk about, before we even get into what is a thought, we talk about energies, vibrations, frequencies. The way I see things is, your thought is a vibration that your brain, again, is like able to receive. It's like, think of it like a radio station. So we're transmitting different frequencies. Your brain picks up on certain thoughts, right? But you have to tune it to that channel of what type of thoughts you want it to receive, right? You can get negative thoughts, you can get positive thoughts. So you have to, change that channel. Now, how do you do that, right? Well, you have to build a positive mindset through affirmations, through meditation, through controlling that receptors, through blocking the negative receptors and enhancing the positive ones. So now you're in a positive state of mind. Let's move to the next step, beliefs. So money doesn't grow on trees, or you have to work all your life, or stop dreaming. You're not lucky enough like those people that are wealthy, or any negative, or I'll never be able to build a clothing brand. Look at these, Kith and, Jordan and all these ones. Like they're how am I ever going to get there? No. Throw those in the garbage, and now you can throw them in the garbage easily because you have that positive thought process. You're receiving positive information, and now you can use those thoughts to create beliefs. Right now, those individual beliefs create a belief system. A belief system is going to influence your actions. Your actions are going to lead to the results.
Right. I think reverse engineering any big brand or any successful person. There's a word for that. It was in the book. Getting to the Neutral by Trevor Marwad, and I believe that's the name. and he was talking about the study of like high performance people, high successful people. I have a lot of thoughts right now, but if you reverse engineer, or if you go into their backstories, they have left a trail for you already. You know, there's already a trail out there. You're not reinventing the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
You're just learning how to navigate the water. You know, and there was a path before you. There was a boat before you. They had their sails set a certain way, and you can mimic that and alter it. Also, that also you brought up a good point about knowledge, right? It's not enough to just have the knowledge. You have to apply that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did a video the other day talking. I was speaking about people should stop feeling insecure whether they went to college or what college they went to or whatever it was. It doesn't matter what college you went to or if you didn't go to one. What matters is you have base knowledge. You have your education.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do with that? How can you expand your mind? It doesn't matter where you went to school. It makes no difference. Like, for example, I went to Penn State. But let's say I took all that stuff I learned. I never applied it. I never did the brand. You know what I'm saying? I just went to an architecture office. I did no networking. I just sat there and didn't talk to nobody. Did my own thing. I'm not applying anything I learned in school. I'm just simply another cog in the system.
Exactly.
You know, and thinking on my own, I'm not exactly sure like what sparked that. I think it's just my desire to become a better version of myself has led me to that point. But and also a really high self-awareness, and I'm very critical of myself, not in a detrimental way, but in a sense of like, why did I do this, or why did I act like this, or why was I wrong on this? I just questioning and seeing myself from a third eye perspective, from a different perspective, gives me help and a more confident sense of self, and I'm able to move, like I said before, in my purpose, and
100%.
It feels good doing that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm very similar to you from being very critical. And I think you have to be, right? Because how are you going to improve if you're not very, and they say don't be hard on yourself, but I'm very hard on myself. And it's very beneficial, but also can be detrimental. Because when I say it's beneficial, it's okay. If I go and I do something, now I'm going to take a little bit more time and reflect on what I did and start tweaking. Okay, what could have been done better? Right. So, for example, at my job, at my career, I go and I speak to, CIOs, portfolio managers, like very wealthy, top tier people in these large institutions, these asset managers. And I demo a product and I'm in enterprise sales. So I try to, sell our solution. Right. And it's a complex sale. Right. So when you get into a demo, sometimes I may talk too fast, or I may, my nerves may get up. So I always self-reflect on how I could have improved on it. I always seek constructive feedback and take what I like from that feedback and apply it. Mm-hmm. But why is that detrimental? Right? That's a beneficial side. But how can that get detrimental? And this is what I'm learning to try to stop is because when you're over, critical on everything, we can see our every flaw. Other people see a lot of our benefits, but if we're focusing on being critical on ourselves, we're paying attention to the flaws, and that could lower our confidence. And without confidence, you can't do anything. Because if you're not confident, again, confidence is a positive emotion. What is on the opposite side of the spectrum? Doubt, fear, all the negative emotions. So if you're not confident in yourself, you don't have a high self-esteem, you're not going to take your shot. You're not going to go to your manager and say, hey, listen, this is how I want to look at this, is how I look at things. Let me, give you my, this is how I see things from my perspective, and this is the value I could provide. You won't do that. You won't go and sit on social media and start practicing and preaching and, making content because you're not confident in yourself. Mm-hmm. So you may be the best, and you may be literally rapidly growing and growing and growing from being so self-critical, but you're retracting your level of confidence in yourself because all you're focusing on is your flaws. Right. And that's where I'm at right now, to be completely honest with you. I need to figure out how I could balance focusing on what I need to fix, but keeping in mind that that's something that only successful people do. Right. And just being conscious of what I can continuously improve on a daily basis is already setting me ahead of, 80, 85, 90% of the people.
Couldn't agree more with that. I could not agree more with that. And that's a big key. That's what Gary Vee says a lot. Gary Vee is big on self-awareness, and it's simply to build that confidence, to build that self-esteem. And I do feel you big time on it being detrimental because I did get caught up in that. Especially, it was more so in college when I was giving these presentations on my architectural work because I would spend so much time, right, on these presentations on making a final product. And then you go up, and I was critiqued after presenting my project in front of 4 architects, you know what I'm saying? Professors, maybe 2 professors, 2 actual architects, and the rest of your classmates. You stand up there and they legit critique you on the good and the bad. So I think me even going through that for 5 years of presenting projects at school kind of left that in my brain for me to do on my own, you know? And in those presentations, it is it's really critical, and they're just really blunt about it. They don't sugarcoat it like, this is bad, this works, you know, this is just horrible. And I was stuck in that loop where I was getting overly attached to the negative feedback, or let's not call it negative feedback.
Constructive feedback.
Yeah. And I was casting this image on myself, and I was thinking my work was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Which ultimately, this is actually, now I'm thinking about it, ultimately led me from taking a step back from posting architectural work and then seeing where else I could strive with in other types of work. And I was already using Photoshop and all that stuff. It's actually where the t-shirts and stuff originated from, because I was getting bad feedback, or not the feedback I wanted, and I was being too critical of it. Meanwhile, I look back on my portfolio now and I'm like, this is actually really good. Like, and not in an egotistical manner, in a removed perspective, in a non-biased perspective, looking at it if it was somebody else.
Exactly.
And, you know, and I'm able to enter that mindset, pull the things that are good and learn from things. And just, I think that's just big of what I'm applying to my life right now. So this is actually back to another point that I was talking to Brandon Arena about, B-Flicks on Instagram. Young kid with a lot of passion. We were talking about thought and action. This actually goes back into what we were saying as well. Those are two different planes, right? So you have thought here, you have action there. Now, you can get stuck in either one of those. So thought without action is stagnation. But action without thought is just, you're not progressing, because you're not rationalizing anything you're doing. You're kind of like, you're on cruise control.
You're shooting from the hip.
Exactly.
There's no accuracy.
So there has to be some type of connection in between, which goes back to Think and Grow Rich, the law of attraction, which I think is widely misunderstood. People think that if you're just going to have these thoughts all the time, or you're thinking positively, then things are just suddenly going to change. And it will change a little bit. Like, you'll start to be around better people. But unless you act on those things, unless you act on these thoughts, you're going to be in the same spot a year from now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's to the point. I love how you brought up Think and Grow Rich, and even the law of attraction. You know, from my perspective, there's 12 universal laws that all work together. If you look at the law of attraction specifically, right, it's vibrations attract other like vibrations, right? Going back to that, speaking in terms of vibrations, energies, and frequencies. Now, if we spoke about earlier that thoughts are vibrations. So now when you think on a certain vibrational frequency, right, I am going to achieve my goal. I am going to, you know, make X amount of dollars, a very specific amount. I am going to do this. I will build a clothing brand that's going to, you know, sell to millions of people. I will build a network, a community that people can come in and, you know, just surround themselves by like-minded individuals. Now, what that's doing is it's putting your mindset on that specific vibration of, you know, positive, you know, progress. Now you're going to attract people that are also thinking on that mindset, or attract people that are going to help you get to where you're going, because vibrations attract other like vibrations. Your mind is vibrating at that particular frequency. But what you just said is, if you don't act upon those, somebody could knock on my door, flat tire outside. He's the CEO of whatever business, and that's exactly what I need to get to the next level. But if I don't have the communication skills, and I don't ask him, what do you do, and start that conversation, and I'm like, you know, I'm busy, bro, we're eating dinner, slam the door.
Right.
I attracted him, but I just deflected that away, right? That's a weird example.
Block to blessing. Yeah.
It's a block to blessing. That's a weird example, but that's exactly how you think about it. You put yourself in the right position, so you think yourself into that specific position. You have all these opportunities that come your way, but those windows are decreasing. You have to take action and make sure you take advantage of each of one of those opportunities. And that's what gets us to the next, law, one of the next universal laws, which is the law of inspired action, right? So you have that law of attraction. You know what I mean? You understand how to think, and you're attracting the blessings to you. And then you take inspired action. And what is inspired action? It's something that within you, just you get that rush, that energy. It's like you're up at 3 a.m. and you're still going to 4 a.m. because you're inspired. You have that, you know, divine energy within you to continue right down your purpose. But it's also action. So you have that level of connection, that level of, you know, alignment, and then you take action upon that. So when those things come to you, you take inspired action towards them, and that's how you combine and create that force that's unstoppable.
Right. That's actually, you break it down really good, and it's actually just sparking more thoughts in my head. I never really, I don't know the exact 12 universal laws. You know, I know the law of attraction, all that stuff, and I'm around that stuff all the time. That's where my mind goes. With the brand, you know, having that mindset, that's something I always had with the brand. And as time progresses, I'm able to figure out more steps. And based on my past attempts at it and trying to grow it, I'm able to, like I said before, my next at bat is 10 times better. So moving with the ambassadors, keeping that network of like-minded individuals where we all hold each other accountable. You know, we're all on top of each other. For like, we know when something is bad, we know when something is good. And I think building that network, especially, or even if you don't have a brand, right, and you're doing your job, you're doing your thing, wouldn't you want to be around like-minded individuals?
Of course.
It's for the betterment of you. It makes you feel empowered, and then you can empower other people. One of my friends, this quote he had a long time ago, because I was going through a rough patch, and he was one of those people that I can always go to. You know, we saw a lot like eye to eye. And one quote he told me was, "You cannot pour out of an empty cup."
Love that.
And so you have to be selfish a little bit, and focus on you, but it's for the betterment of other people. Because then I could fill my cup up with water. You know what I'm saying?
And pour it in theirs.
Exactly. And then now we're all moving at the same pace, and that's what I'm trying to do. To give some context of what exactly Next Visionary stands for, it's dedicated to pushing through adversity, and the main logo image is a V, right? But there's a cup mark in that V. However, despite the cup mark, you can still make out that big image. So despite the adversity in your life, if you can hold a bright vision, you can come out victorious. And it's to say, like, it's not to say that adversity is there or it isn't. It's saying that it is going to be there. I'm going to persist, and I'm going to come out on top regardless.
That's awesome.
And using that adversity to complete the image.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love the level of, I love the brand message behind this. It shows. It just shows. Next Visionary, right? If I come in from an outsider perspective, I have a decent understanding of, what you stand for just based on the brand name, Next Visionary, but the way that the amount of thought that was put into just the V in the brand, right? Pushing through adversity. It's like, that's what it is. That's what the whole journey is about, and you embody it, right? So you practice it. You're putting it into practice because you're going through the journey right now. It's not like you're a brand the size of Nike, but you're growing towards it.
Right.
So like you're practicing what you preach, and then you're also teaching it. So you're preaching and teaching, and that's amazing, man. I love how you combine that, and the amount of care that you have to pass that torch on. Like, if you're able to light your torch, you're able to then take your lit torch and light the torches of 1,000 people without your flame going out. And just seeing that your focus is to do that and is amazing, because that's what I want to do. That's what we should do. That's what I believe we're here for. We're each given this life, and we're assigned a purpose, and the first goal is to identify what that purpose is, because that's why we're here. And that's the best day of our life, when you figure out what that purpose is. But then it's to pursue that purpose, and half of that, or even 90% of pursuing that purpose, is giving back. And then the universe gives you the money, gives you everything that you desire. You may desire money, luxury things, large estates, and that's fine, right? Because if that's what you desire, then that's what you should get as a reward for paying back what the universe has asked you to deliver. Right? Yeah. And everybody has a desire. Some people don't want that stuff, and that's good. But what makes you happy? What makes you feel like successful? The universe will give you that. See, that's the most important thing. You have to trying to create something that's absolutely meaningful, that has that impact. Right? Has that impact that you could lead and create an influence from. First, you have to try to impact people around you, and then you could finally have that level of influence. That's what everybody's striving for when you're a content creator on social media. You're trying to build up that influence, because once you have that influence and you use it positively, a lot of people using influence in a negative way. You're using it from a positive lens or a positive perspective. Not only does it give you so much power, because anything you drop with influence, you drop a new shirt, you have 100 people about to buy it, like 100. Think about it, if you have 100,000 followers. Yeah. You need 1% conversion to get 1,000 buys, which is very attainable at $50 a shirt. That's $50K in an hour after you drop the shirt. But you have that influence because you provided them so much value. Exactly. So that's like where we should. That's where I'm striving for. I think that from your perspective, that's why we're trying to build these platforms and these social media networks. Give us platforms. It's actually going to go back into a point before I wanted to capitalize on. Like, I'm like, one of the biggest things for me is being the person I needed when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really have someone to have conversations like this when I was younger. They were just really me having these conversations with myself. Exactly. Which is also like, I think that's why I'm so rooted into it, because I was alone for a long time with these thoughts, and now that they're finally out here,
because we have platforms that we've built over a certain amount of time period. We can talk about these things, and I can now pass that on to, like you said before, I like the analogy of like passing the torch while yours is still lit, right? And then because of that, the path in front of you is only brighter.
Exactly.
And then those people can light the torches behind them too.
Exactly.
And that's what it's all about.
And they're all following.
Exactly.
In suit.
Yeah.
Not necessarily calling them followers, but you're in a synergistic fashion.
Yeah.
Right? Within the network, within that positive, community that we're creating, there's people with different skill sets, people with different experiences, like we were saying earlier. And each of those individuals are extremely valuable, and they bring value to the table. And we're all trying to get to a goal together. And if we align all the energy from hundreds and thousands of people together, we can actually make change, right? We could influence change for the better, right? And that's what this world's about, right? We're born here, we're given a purpose, and the whole goal is to move the world forward, right? And like you said, you were saying this earlier, and I forgot to allude to this, but you were like, don't try to reinvent the wheel. There was somebody before you that created that path. But the thing is, they got to right here. They built a path. Right. It's our job to ride that path easy, break through where they couldn't get past because their life ended, and then now build the path to here. And what's that going to do? The person that comes after is going to do the same thing, get there, and forward. Think about this historically. Like Thomas Edison, without inventing the light bulb, the electricity from that matter, would we be doing anything right now? Look how much good is coming from his invention, right? And then think about would Elon Musk have created Tesla, an electric car, to combat climate change and all that stuff, and be a little bit more sustainable from that aspect in the way that we live? No, because that's all from the works of Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison, the inventors of the early 20th century, of the late 19th century, and so on and so forth. And now in the year of 2200, 2300, when we're long gone, our grandkids, whatever, to that matter, are going to be pushing forward and progressing through in a world that's evolved from at least where we got it to. It's our job. We're here right now with X, Y, and Z. Let's take that. Let's bring it here. And then we have to hand it off to the next generation by giving them knowledge, insight, and intelligence and wisdom to then progress the bar further. And then that's what life is about.
Right. And even you bring up a great point with Musk, and then Tesla. Look what he sparked, though, amongst the car industry. What's everyone trying to do? Why? You know what I'm saying? He did something. He took, you can call it a risk, a gamble, or straight innovation, but he did something different, and he paved the way, right, for years to come. But also, he's changing the industry currently, whether people want to acknowledge that or not. He was one of the first to do that.
Exactly.
And he is now the precedent for people to build upon, which ultimately pushes everything forward.
Exactly.
There's a quote from Nipsey Hussle. Common man adapts to the world, right? Therefore, making no change. But the uncommon man persists on adapting the world to himself. So therefore, all progress depends on the uncommon man or unreasonable man. Something like that. But that was a quote that stuck with me and further gave me confidence in what I'm pursuing. And I think starting out, if you're starting out with a brand, it's going to be fuzzy. The details aren't going to be all there. People aren't going to believe you until you believe in yourself. And you know what? That's all right. I come to terms with that. I spent a lot of time thinking about, why didn't my friends support me when I first started it? Well, it wasn't what it is right now.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't have all the accolades behind me. I didn't have the achievements yet. I didn't have multiple sellout sales. I didn't have a network. Now, because of I'm a stubborn person. Because of my stubbornness and my persistence and my confidence that had developed over the years, it's something now. Now people are going to gravitate towards it. It's only right, you know? So I don't blame anybody for not believing in it, although it did hurt in that time being.
Of course it does.
And then coming from a position of understanding, I get it.
You get it, because anybody could start a brand, but not anybody can bring a brand to be successful.
Right.
So, and at the end of the day, that's what it is. We're going to have to, you have to come to terms with that people are not always going to support you when you first start, but that should not stop you from continuing. Right. Get yourself to a place where you need to be. Not to necessarily prove anybody wrong, not from that lens, but rather just to prove it to yourself. Because when people aren't believing you, that hits at your confidence and hits at your belief. So believe in yourself, be persistent, get to a point where it's successful. And then the people that at first may have not saw the vision, You know what I mean? Now they see the vision, but it's you as a creator to create that vision for them. And while they're not believing, you know what I mean? You could put some, not blame on yourself, but take some responsibility to say, I have not built the vision yet, and that's why they don't see it.
That's a great
Let
point.
me build that vision for them, and then my friends and family could see it, right? You know, they love us at the end of the day. There's a select few that probably, you know, have jealousy and some envy in there. So, you know, you'll slowly identify who those are and decrease the size of your crowd. But generally speaking, your friends and family love you, and it's not that they don't believe in you. It's that they don't see the vision yet because you haven't painted the picture in a way that is able to be received by them.
That's a great point.
You know what I mean?
It's the truth, and that's up to you. You know, I think one of the problems today is that a lot of people start brands for money. You know, a lot of people start brands that aren't rooted or have a foundation in anything besides like, I'm trying to make a profit. You know, and ultimately that's a dark hole, and it's not going to be anything fulfilling unless that's what you want to do, right? And that's on your own. That's your own choice. But I think I take value in building community. Even before clothing, I took value in designing spaces that brought people together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is just that concept in a different format. And eventually I'm going to get to a point, like now I'm in this very like money saving type of mindset, you know, like even if let's say I did a drop tomorrow, if it didn't sell out or if I didn't sell anything, I'm unfazed because I have a network of people who are growing daily, who are helping me grow. I motivate them, they motivate me. We hold each other accountable. I can then analyze that, move forward, but also I do have a 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying? 9 to 6. And it's essential. I don't really, this is my personal outlook, and I'm really deeply embedded in this because I've been working since I was a young kid. You know, you need another source of income before you can fully like dive off and go into the entrepreneurship because you have responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
You have a life, and you have to be able to fund that, and you have to be able to fund your side hustle.
You have to.
So how are you going to do that?
You need that reliable income stream.
Yeah.
So that's something. Yeah. That's another thing I teach to people because on social media you get things mixed up. You think that you don't need that 9 to 5. Everybody's telling you, just pursue your passion, just ditch the 9 to 5. Like, bro, what are you talking about? How are you going to fund your side hustle? You need a reliable income stream that's coming in, but then you have so much other time that you take the income there, you budget it properly, and you have that allocation to build the dream. You need that. Right, so people are thinking that I've spoken to so many people too. I told you I do those free consultations.
Mm-hmm.
People, I'm just trying to help as much as I can. And there's people like, why would this guy literally said this to me? He's like, yo, why would I, be at a 9 to 5 when I could spend that same time with my family? I'm like, bro, because you couldn't afford my $50 a month program. That's literally why. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, that's why. Yeah. I can literally help you, and I'm doing it for such a cheap value because I want to have scale. I want to make it available for everybody. $50 a month. We have weekly calls and we go through the entire program. And you literally said that you can't afford that, but then you combat me. He's one of those people that had the answers for everything.
Of course.
And you combat me saying, "But why would I get a job when I could spend time with my family?" What kind of time are you spending with your family?
How are you providing for your family? You know what I'm saying? How are you eating? This can go into a whole different conversation.
That's
about
what I'm saying.
Men in today's age, which I think will be a good conversation we have another time.
Yeah, 100%. With that being said, I know we've been going for a while, so I want to keep a lot of stuff because we definitely got to get back on this another time, do a second version of this episode, and keep 100%. Going because the amount of value we provided today, I cannot wait to hit the lab and start chopping this up and put this out there ASAP so people could really start eating off it.
I'm excited, man. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, but you're more than welcome. And that's it. We'll talk about next week. Follow my boy Next Visionary on Instagram as I don't have to say anything. You heard the episode. We'll talk next week.